The philosopher James Carse once suggested that all games come in one of two varieties, finite and infinite. In finite games, like Parcheesi, checkers, presidential elections, there are beginnings and endings, there's winners and losers. The object is to vanquish your foe. Carse suggested that infinite games are a lot more interesting. Friendship could be considered an infinite game, and so could birdwatching. Life is the biggest and richest infinite game of all. In an infinite game, the object is not to win, but to play, as well as possible, for as long as possible. Which is not forever, unfortunately, for no games are truly infinite. For friends, for birds, for the listeners to and producers of radio programs, death is a quiet omnipresence, imposing its finitude upon all of us. Which means that so-called infinite games produce only losers, and the utter absence of winners does little to ease their pain. This pain is the fuel of D.L. Coburn's Pulitzer Prize-winning play, The Gin Game. The Gin Game is a two-character play set on the porch of a half-dilapidated old-age home somewhere in deepest Americana. There, an old man named Weller, played by Peter Haig, spends his afternoons cheating at solitaire and holding his fellow senescents in silent contempt. His solitude is disturbed one day by the arrival of Fonzia, played by Barbara Bradshaw, a younger woman of 71. She bursts onto the porch in the middle of a crying jag. When she does so, on Haig's face, which happens to be one of the busiest mugs in the business, you can read a well-learned mistrust of intimate engagement with his fellow human beings, one that is at war with the gentility taught all American boys of his character's generation. His gentility wins out, nudged to victory with the help of its silent partner, loneliness. If Weller can calm this lady down, he thinks, perhaps he won't have to play solitaire anymore. He does calm her down. She is new to the nursing home and deeply dissatisfied with it, and she's lonesome too. Weller suggests the pair play a game of gin to pass the time, and she agrees. What then transpires on the porch of the old age home is often surreal, often sad, and occasionally violent. The gin game may first appear to be a commentary on two particularly damaged people who just so happen to use gin as an excuse to become friends, but that's not quite it. Gin is a game in which you cannot see your opponent's hand, and like any game in which victory is predicated upon a wild guess at the motives of another person, gin can be an accurate microcosm of the human condition. In gin, the game, as in the gin game, whole lives are enacted in miniature. The belief that the cosmos are fundamentally antagonistic, the certainty that somehow, for some reason, the universe has ordained that victory is impossible, and pathetic infantile rage at the immutability of its decision. This is what Weller brings to the game. These are the qualities that have defined his entire life so far, the qualities that have steered him inexorably towards this penniless, friendless, angry twilight on a half-rotted porch, and they will shape the world as he sees it until his dying day. And these are also the qualities that prevent him from winning even a single hand of gin against Fonzia, no matter how long they play. Of course, there can be no friendship between these two. Bradshaw plays Fonzia as cool bordering on bloodless, the set of her jaw and the cast of her eyes as tense and precise as piano wire. Fonzia never had any truck with Weller's brand of defeatist self-mythologizing. Most likely she never had time for it. Her situation has been too desperate for excuses, no matter how ingenious, and a desperate life has taught her the secrets of brutish victory. She will win, and she will win, and she will always win, and she is helpless to do otherwise. At 71, her knack for self-preservation has been so obsessively honed that it has mutated into an all-consuming will to dominate. She cannot stop it, even as it drives away her friends, her few living family members, her children, which may be why she sticks around this sad game of gin, long after she should walk out on one of Weller's increasingly violent temper tantrums. She loves winning too much to stop. But we realize this only later. In Bradshaw's subtlest performance in years, she keeps Fonzia's guilty tears behind a dam of ice. It will not melt, and it barely ever cracks. It takes a brief moment at play's end, when Fonzia, alone on the porch, cries, "Oh no," and plants her face in her palms, to show us what Fonzia has seen all along, that she is no mere victim of manly brutality, certainly not of Weller's. Weller and her son and countless others are victims, too, of Fonzia's sly sabotage. Dramaworks' production of The Gin Game made me think of Paul Auster's The Music of Chance, the great novel about two desperate gamblers who do not realize they have wagered their very lives in a poker match. They have mistaken an infinite game for a finite one. In The Gin Game, Weller and Fonzia are wrestling with the exact opposite mistake. They believed too strongly in second and third chances, in their own permanence and infinitude. Now they understand that they were wrong, and if they cannot articulate their distress in those terms, they can mourn their losses, and certainly they can restage their old battles within these diminished environs in the hope of reversing their defeats, if only in miniature. They are doomed to fail, doomed by mortality, time, the impossibility of the infinite, and at least in Dramaworks' deep, dark production, it is impossible not to realize that their loss is ours, too. D.L. Coburn's The Gin Game is directed by J. Barry Lewis and plays at Palm Beach Dramaworks through August 15th. Palm Beach Dramaworks can be found at 322 Banyan Boulevard in West Palm Beach, and you can reserve your tickets at palmbeachdramaworks.org. For South Florida Arts Beat, I'm Brandon K. Thorp.